Hi everyone, welcome back to the HUBient channel. This is Stella Bella. Today we're going to be talking about the topic of resumes and how to write the perfect resume so you can find the dream job that you are after. Now, as an employer, I have seen a lot of resumes in the past. I can tell you there are ones that absolutely stand out and are amazing right from the start, and it tells you so much about the person that you are looking to hire and all the value that they're going to add to your business. Then there are the ones that are not quite up to scratch. And even though the person themselves might be absolutely amazing, when the only thing you can really judge them by as a first impression is what they send through in their resume, sometimes it can actually be quite detrimental. So today I'm going to share with you the top 7 things that creates the perfect resume. Number 1. Include relevant information only. It's quite common nowadays for one person to have multiple types of resumes. So depending on the job that they're after, a person might have multiple different skills. They might be really good at administration, but at the same time really good at dancing. So they'll have a resume for the clerical side. Then they'll also have a different resume for the more labor-intensive jobs that they're applying for. And this is a really good practice to have because employers are often very busy. And when they're advertising for jobs, depending on the company, they might get tens, hundreds of resumes back. They don't have time to look at information that's not relevant to them. So if you can tailor your resume to suit the specific job that you're after and only include information that helps you to get this potential position, your potential employer will be more drawn to your resume and the information that you include than if you included a whole bunch of other things that are not quite suited to this role. If you've just come out of school or college and you haven't had much work experience, then it is okay to include things like certificates you've had, achievements you've had back in school. That's fine. This will help your employer sort of understand what sort of character you are and what sort of work ethic you have, especially if you've got certificates for being, I guess, the most conscientious student or being the dux of your class. But if you have had a lot of work experience since then, include that instead. I've had resumes in the past that have spanned up to 6 to 8 pages long because the candidate wanted to include every possible achievement they could about themselves. And it's not to say they shouldn't be proud of it. Of course, they should be proud of all of their achievements. But as the employer, they don't have time to read through 6 to 8 pages of every single certificate and every single achievement that you've ever had. They'll only want to focus on the things that matter right now for the position that they're advertising for. So they'll be looking for things like your most current work experience, the length of time you've been at your previous employers, what sort of skills you have, what sort of on-the-job training or experience that you can bring to their company, their business, to help them to achieve their goals. So just make sure you only include the things that matter to your employer and not the things that matter to you. Number 2. Do use bullet points and try not to make everything too wordy. It is a lot easier for an employer to digest the information that you're giving them if it's all laid out in clear bullet points, especially when it comes to what sort of experience and skills you can bring to their company. So for example, if you want to talk about the sort of experience you've had with your last place of work, you want to lay it out by saying what your role was, so your title, what the workplace was, how long you've worked there for. Then underneath just go dash cash handling, dash customer liaison, dash bookkeeping, accounts payable, accounts receivable, that sort of thing. A potential employer is going to skim all of your information and they're going to try to look for the words that truly stand out to them, the traits that they're looking for that position they're offering. And the more words that you add into your resume, the harder it is for the important words to jump out at the employer. You need to make it super easy for them. You need to be able to sell your skills and your value to the potential employer in the easiest and shortest amount of time possible. And it makes it easy for yourself as well because you're not trying to write an essay. You're just giving them a list of all the things that you can provide them to make their business better. Number 3, make sure you proofread and spell check everything. A resume that has grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, or even formatting issues really makes the applicant seem unprofessional. And it's almost a little bit disrespectful because it's like you didn't bother to proofread or spell check before you sent your resume out. So this job really isn't that important to you. There are a lot of programs online, for example, Grammarly, that can help you with that. And if all else fails, ask a friend. Ask a friend who you know is quite good at the English language and just double check, triple check everything just to make sure it looks all correct before you send out the resume to a bunch of potential employers. Number 4, include references wherever possible. So references are people who can vouch for you and your character or your work ethic and the skills that you've claimed to have in your resume. So these are called either references or referees, and they can either be professional, so people from your previous workplace, your previous employer perhaps, that's always a very favorable one to have on your resume, or personal references, so people who are your close friends, people who've known you for a long time, who can vouch for your character. An employer will most likely want to see at least one from a previous employer. Personal references don't really matter too much to an employer unless this is the first job that you're ever applying for. So for the most part, if you have a previous employer, it's really handy to be on good terms with them and ask them first if you can add them as a reference on your resume. Because what that basically says is that you've got someone else on a professional level who's vouching for you, who's vouching for the work that you've done, the experience that you claim to have, and the skills that you say you're going to bring. And chances are your potential employer is going to call up your references and just double check, ask them questions about what type of person you are, what type of employee you are, and double check that everything that you've told them is the truth. Now you can either write this on your resume first, so include the details, the contact details of your references. And I would strongly recommend this because it makes it so much more convenient for the employer to firstly go, this person is all prepared, and they've even got references that I can contact. So it already builds that trust there that you've got people who are willing to vouch for you that you can just present to whoever. Even if your potential employer doesn't call up those references, the fact that you have them there and you have their contact details noted already is an added bonus. It's extra points to you. If you don't have any references just yet, just write down references available upon request. Or if you don't want to give out the details of your references just yet, that's fine. But as an employer myself, whenever I see that, I kind of question how prepared the candidate actually is, or the reasons why they don't have any references yet, whether it's because they haven't actually asked anyone or that they haven't been able to find anyone who can vouch for them. So again, it's all about sort of understanding the mindset of your potential employer and making things as easy and convenient for them as possible to hire you. Number 5. Include hobbies, but only ones that are relevant to your job. So I've seen resumes in the past where it's more about the candidate oversharing their experience, their skills, their hobbies, their passion, than it actually is about them applying for the job. So it's important that whilst hobbies are important, and it's a good way for the employer to see what sort of person you're like outside of work, because that's also important. The sort of character and personality you're going to bring into their workplace is something that they will consider. But do only include the things that will be of interest to your employer. So things that will perhaps show them that you have certain skills. So team sports is always a good one because it shows that you're a team player. If you're into chess, for example, or you're leader of a chess club, that's always good because it shows an employer that you have strong analytical skills or thinking skills. But if you start reeling off a whole list of things that you're interested in, like archery, pub crawling, or that you like to watch YouTube videos, or you're a gaming addict, these are the sort of things that not only tells your employer nothing about what you can bring to their company, but they might even consider it a red flag because firstly, you're giving them way too much information about things that don't matter, which kind of says a little bit about your character and perhaps how you lack perhaps perspective of the outside world. And it might also give them a little bit of insight into some of the not so favorable hobbies that you're into as well. So just be careful with the type of hobbies and skills that you share and whether your potential employer will actually find benefit from that. Number 6, include a headshot that is recent but also professional. Depending on the industry that you are aiming for, sometimes professional could mean an action shot of some kind. For example, because my business is in the entertainment industry, I often get headshots of actors, dancers, and those headshots or photos might be of them actually mid-leap or in some sort of a pretty dance or performance pose. So that works for my industry. But in most cases, just a normal natural headshot will do. Even for myself, even for the entertainment industry, it's always good to just have a nice neutral headshot of the person that could potentially be in your team. And it's not so much because they're going to be judging you by the way you look or anything like that, unless the position you're going for is based around looks. I mean, if you're going for a job that hiring for models or something, then I'm sure you'll definitely need a headshot. But what a headshot generally does is just basically give the employer a bit of a more personable feel, because they're just seeing your experience and your name on paper. It's nice to put a face to a name and it helps them to remember you as well. If they're receiving hundreds of resumes, You want to be the one that stands out. And if they remember not only your skills, your name, but also your face, a lot more favorable than the ones without a headshot. But just be careful that the headshot you include is somewhat professional and not just a selfie or a social media type, because that might actually backfire on you. I've had one in the past where one of the candidates sent a photo of herself at the beach holding a bottle of vodka with, I think, her sister or her friend. I think the idea was that she wanted to portray herself as more of an outgoing, sporty type because she was at the beach, she was with friends. But to me, that just screamed unprofessional. So just be careful of what type of headshot that you include and how you want your potential employer to see you within their company. Last but not least, always include a cover letter or a cover email nowadays with your resume. If you're applying for a job on job seeking ads, a lot of the times they do ask for a cover letter separately anyway. But if you're just sending out your resume to potential employers or just applying on a job that you've seen on social media or on another type of website and you're just emailing it through, make sure your cover letter or the email that's going out with your resume attachment is strong and thoughtful. Don't underestimate the power of that cover letter or the email, because that email is the first thing your employer or your potential employer is going to see before even your resume. And if that first impression is awful, they might not even open the attachment. So it's really important that you're addressing them properly. If you know their name, if it's a company where you know the exact person you're emailing at the time, address them by their name. And then proceed to write maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs about yourself, why you're emailing them, thanking them for their time, and letting them know there's a resume attached and why you would be suited for their company. Because remember, your resume only outlines the things that you can bring to the company in terms of experience, in terms of skills, hobbies, that sort of thing. But it's not really personable. It doesn't allow the potential employer to get a feel of your character. And this is where that cover letter or email comes in. So you want to make sure you kind of let your personality shine a little bit here. Let them know that you're a nice, friendly, polite, personable applicant. You're giving them maybe reasons of why they should hire you over the others or why you're interested in the role and the sort of things that you can bring to their company. That cover letter or cover email is essentially your first impression to that employer. So it's important that you write more than just, hey, see my resume attached, which I have received before, and straight away it was delete. I did not care how great that candidate was. If you hate me in the email that's supposed to get you a foot into your next career, then my business probably isn't the right place for you. So address them properly, write a nicely formatted email explaining who you are and why you're suited for the position and what sort of things you can bring to them, not the sort of things they can bring to you, but what you can bring to them, and sign it off correctly. It's not hard and it makes a huge difference. And you'll be surprised how often people don't do that these days. So if you're one of the ones that do it, you'll actually stand out above the crowd. All right, guys, that's basically it. I hope these 7 tips have helped you maybe create your first resume or clean up your current resume so that it's a little bit more formal, professional, and tailored to your next potential employer. As per usual, if you've got any questions, comments, or anything else to share, any other tips that you can bring us to what you feel makes a perfect resume, please leave a comment down below, and please make sure you follow us, click like, subscribe, follow on our social media and our channels. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Please make sure you follow us for more valuable content, and please make sure to follow me as well. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook under stellabella.au. I would love to hear from you. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. And if you are looking for a new job or a new career path, I hope today's video has helped, and good luck to you. I'll catch you next time. Bye.